On this podcast, you'll find interviews with high-performing, successful individuals in life sciences. On a weekly basis, we cover their proven methods, principles, strategies, and mindsets to implement new technologies that scale to meet the needs of people in our world.
Welcome to the Life Science Success Podcast. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Don Davis, and I'm a consultant in life sciences. And before we get started today, I just wanted to quickly mention that I am on my way to the Bio event in Boston. And for those of you who are interested in being interviewed while I'm there, just visit web.d3digitalmedia.com/bio-2023. There's a form there that you can fill out, and essentially it'll come to my inbox, and I will do what I can to try and get you scheduled. Quite a few interviews are already scheduled for June the 5th, and I'm trying to fill up June the 6th as well. And as soon as those 2 days are filled, essentially I'll be done for the conference. And so I greatly would appreciate getting to meet you and getting to interview you if you're interested. So today on the Life Science Success Podcast, I just wanted to bring up our guest. It is Robert Bruchet. Robert is a general manager of Middle East and Africa at Ethypharm. He applies a deep understanding of commercial levers to maximize the P&L and drive growth. So with that, welcome, Robert.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Don. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. So would you just take a moment to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Great. So as you said, my name is Rob Bruchet. I'm originally from Canada. Been in the pharmaceutical industry for over 25 years. I started in Canada, an interesting place to start, a little bit different. I started at an agency doing public affairs. And at that agency, I had clients. I was put on files with the pharma industry, mining, chemical, and others. And I really found the pharma industry the most exciting and the most interesting, lobbying and helping companies advocate for positions on intellectual property protection and pricing regulation. And that led to a lot of fun adventures. First, working in the Canadian market in the area of pricing, reimbursement, patient access, public affairs, and then transitioning later to commercial roles, both in Canada, Europe, and now the Middle East. So I live in Dubai with my family. We've been here for about 10 years. I had the pleasure of joining Ethypharm last year, where we're looking at, expanding our business across Middle East and Africa.
Wow. Yeah, and I mean, the one thing, there are a lot of podcast guests that join at odd times. So maybe you could tell everybody, what time is it currently in Dubai?
It's about 1 in the morning, 1 a.m. To join Don here on the call today. So I'm looking forward to sharing and making most of my morning with this early start.
That's amazing. I mean, there are a lot of things that I've done for international interactions, but not at 1 a.m. I've done my fair share of 3 a.m. starts, to get things going. But 1 a.m. I give you a lot of credit for that. So you said that you were in Dubai for 10 years. What led you to going to Dubai?
Yeah, so I began my career with Pfizer and was lucky enough to move with them from Canada to Brussels, Belgium. And while I was in Brussels, there was a reorganization of emerging markets. And at that time, the hub I was in there for emerging markets Europe was moving. And at that point, I needed to find a new role within the company and was lucky enough to find a regional marketing role for cardiovascular for Africa, Middle East, based in Dubai. So really running the established brands for the company across the region. And that's essentially what brought us there. The sense of adventure, the job, and looking for something new for our family to continue our adventure outside of Canada even longer.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done the sense of adventure thing across the United States. I haven't done it like you though, where you really go big all the way around the world. Yeah, I would imagine that it would be rather interesting, right, to go from Canada and I would just say the cold weather to Dubai and the warm weather as well. I mean, that just from a climate perspective, it's got to be a drastic change as well.
Definitely. I think, the first few weeks we came to Dubai, we were not used to not used to the heat. We came first in April, but mainly in July, and of course, the heat is quite excessive here at that time of the year. I think we were wondering, are we going to survive the first few weeks? Thankfully, we've adapted quite readily, and the city is great. So, of course, during half the year, um, it's amazing outside. You eat outside and many things out in the outdoors. For the other half, although it is quite hot, there's a lot of nice indoor spaces as well, and you become a little more tolerant to things. So you can push yourself, which is great as well.
Yeah. Well, a bit, I mean, just the architecture alone that you see on TV and things like that. I've not been to Dubai, but my experience has only been through TV, and I mean, just to see the architecture that's been developed and things like that, and what's been done is just amazing as well. And I would imagine seeing a 10-year span probably gives you a lot of perspective that most of us wouldn't have about just the development there.
Definitely. Even in the time we've been here, relatively short, 10 years, you see tremendous change every year in the city in terms of development of new neighborhoods, new beachfront. We, of course, had Expo 2020 slightly delayed, but the city, there's no shortage of excitement here in terms of events, venues, many things, especially for people in roles in which I am, and for my family as well. So, it's been quite an exciting adventure, not only from a work standpoint, but from an outside work standpoint as well. The other thing about Dubai that's quite interesting is the diversity here. So within the country, there's about 10 million people in UAE, only about 1 million Emiratis. So the rest of UAE, it really comes from around the globe. So if you enjoy a diverse population, a diverse, atmosphere, it's a great city to be in.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds amazing. And so let's talk about the areas of the world that you support. I mean, you touched on it just a second ago, but in terms of Middle East and Africa, what exactly does that entail?
Yes. So in my current role and prior roles here in Dubai, really, it's about, say, 59 countries. Of course, you can't be focused on 59 countries. So usually the focus is narrowed down to the larger markets from a work standpoint. So for the Gulf area, really Saudi Arabia, UAE, and then the other Gulf countries are somewhat smaller than those two. Then you have Africa. Usually North Africa is the largest market, Algeria, Morocco, Egypt, of course, and South Africa is the other area of focus. And then many companies, including the one I'm with now, we look at Africa as an area for expansion, especially sub-Saharan Africa, so larger markets, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Angola, Nigeria. They're very challenging markets, but the potential is there. I think everyone's aware of basic facts like, high population growth, growing middle class, willingness to invest in the health sector. So it's quite a dynamic region, and quite a diverse and volatile one. So just diversity. We have some countries in my region that have some of the highest GDPs per capita. The Gulf countries like Qatar, UAE, Kuwait, etc. And then we have some of the lowest. So there's no shortage of variety, no shortages of challenges, and no shortage of areas where you can make a difference with your portfolio.
That's amazing. So tell me a little bit more about the day in the life that you have. So I mean, what are the main things that you focus on, and what is it like on a daily basis for you?
Yes. So in my current role, I joined Ethypharm, as I said, about 1 year ago. And the exciting part to me in joining the company was it had a very nice portfolio, very good portfolio. It set a basis for Africa, Middle East, but really wanted to expand. And so I have a small team here right now, and we do everything. So day in the life can range from, talking to people in our head office about our long range plans. For example, today to 2027, how are we forecasting that? What's the portfolio? how is it developing, what could we add, those types of high level questions, all the way down to, how do we sign a service level agreement to hire a new representative in Angola. So you go from high big picture all the way down to, the nitty gritty in terms of expanding the business. So for me, that's a bit of the excitement at this stage of my career, having been with some larger companies. Um, my current role at Ethypharm gives me really the opportunity to be hands-on from, big picture to, smaller details that really will impact the business.
Wow. And then with Ethypharm, what are their products? Who do they serve, and what is the portfolio?
Yeah, so Ethypharm is a European-based pharmaceutical company. We have a series of established hospital, critical care, and CNS products that we market. All of our products are manufactured in Europe, in one site in UK, two in France, and two in Spain. Our main customers, so in my region, we have a distribution and licensing model where my small team, we interact with over 50 different customers across Middle East and Africa from a distribution and licensing standpoint. Of course, our main customers are the accounts and government bodies that procure our medicines for use with patients and with healthcare professionals in their respective countries. So because we're a lean team, we want to expand rapidly. We work a lot with our distributor partners, are probably the most important. So to give you an example, our largest market in my region, of course, is Saudi Arabia. I'm there on a regular basis, interacting with the team on the ground with our key partner.
Okay, very good. And then what are some of the biggest challenges that you face in your role?
Yeah, so some of the biggest challenges, really, my most significant challenge is I want to keep moving fast. So within our company, my region is seen as a region of growth, and therefore it's critical to not only the company's financial performance, but also making sure that our plants are running at capacity across all of Europe. And for me, this is it's a challenge in that we need to find the demand and service patients as fast as possible, because we know people are relying on us to grow the business quite rapidly. The good news is the company's been supportive in terms of investing in my area, and now we need to, turn those additional headcounts and attention into the rapid growth that the company's wanting to see. So sometimes, as I was saying, you go from big to small picture. It's important you're really focused on the right things each and every day to make the business grow. With a lean team, there's not a wide capacity and not a large room for error. So we need to stay focused on really what's needed to drive that growth.
Yeah. And sometimes, I mean, I would imagine building that growth is not an easy process, in general either, because as you go from the countries that you sort of oversee, I would imagine that the cultures drastically change just in a little bit of geography as well.
Yeah, the diversity of Middle East Africa is definitely something, unlike other areas, in that I think there's an estimated over 2,000 languages across this region. So, every language is associated with the culture. So that's just one indicator of the level of diversity you're dealing with across the region. The good news is there are commonalities between how how the countries work in terms of regulatory filings and requirements, central government procurement agencies, how to open other markets, how to work with distributor partners, licensing agreements. So there's enough commonality that you can make things go, but definitely the diversity is something that can be challenging. But that's why you come to the region, to really embrace those types of challenges going forward.
Yeah. And then what are some of the biggest opportunities that you see?
So for our business, well, first on a macro level, Middle East and Africa provides a number of opportunities. Middle East, a very, more stable in terms of Gulf countries plus Saudi, really looking to attract pharma investment, investing in their health sector. Some of the countries have high GDP per capita, which means they can afford good, solid, high quality medications that we're offering. So it's a real opportunity for us to partner with the tendering bodies, the healthcare institutions, to provide our medicines there. In Africa, from a macroeconomic standpoint, the continent's growing fast, higher population growth, growing middle class, especially in larger cities. And from an Ethypharm standpoint, we're just breaking in. So our business, we have a good solid business in places like, as I mentioned, Kenya, Morocco, South Africa. So that means we have opportunities in some of the other larger markets within Africa, Egypt, South Africa, Nigeria, Angola, Tanzania, these sorts of places where we're looking to expand this year. So really, that's it. We feel like in the environment here, real great opportunity. Our portfolio fits quite well, and we have a base on which to build and expand.
Fantastic. So, Rob, there are 3 questions that I like to ask every guest. What inspires you?
What's inspiring? I like that you asked this question. What's inspiring me lately is, so I've been in the industry for 25 years. I've been around a while. And, what was inspiring me lately was a recent visit with my sons in Canada. So while I was there, they're both at university. And sometimes you read about younger people not willing to go for it, not wanting to work that hard. I met a bunch of people at their university, including them, who are really pushing themselves. They're taking advantage of each and every opportunity to grow themselves, to find work, long commutes, whatever they need to do to move forward. And it's that type of thing and that type of drive, which is great to see. And as somebody who's been in the industry for a while, it motivates you to keep up the pace and make sure you're moving as quickly as you can, learning new things, making things happen, but also to help younger people and help them develop in their career. What can you give back from a mentorship standpoint, from an opportunity standpoint, to help younger people? So most recently, this is my source of motivation.
Oh, perfect. It looks like we're actually going to get a live question from somebody. So let's see if it comes in time. I mean, essentially, there's a delay that you and I don't see, right? So as you're answering, they're getting kind of a slight delay as well. And so I'll stall for just like 30 seconds here. But so the question's coming from Ibrahim Abhari, it looks like, and so hopefully he will ask his question, but essentially he says he has a question regarding the Nigerian market. So we'll see.
Great.
We'll see if it makes it in time. I'm going to continue on, and then we'll come back if it comes in here at the very end. Next one. So what concerns you?
What concerns me? I already talked a little bit about, moving quickly enough to meet and surpass expectations internally from a business standpoint. We have a lot of great people who support my business. I'm always impressed with the people who work in manufacturing, supply chain, operations, the way they work to help our business. Because Africa, Middle East, as you can imagine, supply chain and delivering the goods on time, especially in critical care and hospital use with the products we're delivering, are absolutely essential. And I see how they work each and every day to expand the business and support my business and all the work that goes in. So we really need to move ahead because they're dependent on our growth. They need us to demonstrate the value of our meds across Africa, Middle East, to make that happen. And then the other, from a business standpoint, and I'm sure your audience is all experiencing this, is the area we work in is established brands. So there's a lot of competition on some of these. So that means price decreases and a lot of downward price pressure. And then at the same time, companies at all levels are experiencing significant cost increases. Not only are we experiencing them, but our customers are experiencing them. So the challenge here is to find new volume. So can we expand and do our geographic expansion quickly enough? Can we launch new products quickly enough to not just survive that squeeze, but to grow our business and to grow our sustainably over the course of many years in my region. So the price pressure combined with cost increases across the board, even with our customers, really a challenge this year. And we're looking to engage customers in new ways and accelerate our pipeline and whatnot to make a difference internally on that as well. So from a business standpoint, I would say those are two top of mind concerns that I think about every day in terms of managing the business in my region.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right? I mean, whenever you're trying to grow a team and grow a business, I mean, it's not a linear path. There, you're going to take a bit of twists and turns here and there to kind of build that business. And so yeah, I could certainly understand that concern. What excites you?
What excites me? So throughout my career, I would say what excites me is the opportunity to say reorganize, rebuild, and create something new. So what have I enjoyed? You know, even going back a while now, when I moved to commercial roles, I was part of a new BU being established with Pfizer in Canada. It was really great. We had a fun team. We did a lot of new things. And then I was able to replicate that experience a few times, you know, reorganizing businesses in Africa, in Middle East, you know, asking for new investments in, say, a trade team, medical investments, reworking small things like, you know, the field force strategy and sales strategy. These types of things I enjoy because, you know, when you have great managers, they give you scope to make these changes. You say, here's what we need to do. Here's what I'd like to try. Here's the benefit. And then they say, okay, fine. We believe in it. Go do it. Make it happen. And the excitement comes from being able to deploy some of those changes and you know, see the success. Of course, they all don't work perfectly, so lots of learnings throughout this process as well. But it's nice to have the opportunity and the scope to build something new and create something new.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Robert Bruchet. Thank you so much for being here on the Life Science Success Podcast. I greatly appreciated our conversation, and yeah, thanks for joining me.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Don. Real pleasure today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to Life Science Success. For complete details about this podcast, including show notes, how to get in touch with guests, and more episodes, please visit www.lifesciencesuccess.com. If there's someone you'd like for us to invite to the show as a guest, please let me know by sending me a message at the podcast website. Please click subscribe on your favorite podcast app, share the podcast, or tell a friend about it. And last but not least, rate the podcast. Thank you again.